Picture a land where ancient rivers thread through fertile valleys, where the pulse of civilization beats beneath the relentless sun. In the heart of this world, between the rolling hills and the lush banks of the Nile, two peoples, each with their own sacred traditions, found themselves living side by side. The Levites, bearers of the Hebrew priestly legacy, journeyed from distant lands, settling among the Cushite priests, custodians of the great temples of Cush and Nubia. Together, they would share not only their lives and livelihoods, but also the deepest expressions of their faiths, rituals, and temple music. Close your eyes and imagine the villages and towns where these encounters took place. Earthen houses cluster near temple complexes. The air is rich with the scent of incense and the distant sound of drums. The Levites, with their oral traditions, Torah scrolls, and distinctive garments, brought their own ways of worship and offerings. The Cushite priests, in their flowing linen, adorned with gold and lapis, preside over magnificent stone temples where carved columns echo with the voices of choirs and the resonance of ancient instruments. At first, their rituals seem different. The Levites recite psalms and prayers, sometimes in hushed tones, sometimes in celebratory song. They tend to the menorah and offer sacrifices according to the laws of Moses. The Cushite priests, meanwhile, chant hymns to the gods and goddesses of their land, Amun, Isis, Osiris, pouring libations, burning incense, and invoking the divine in languages that ripple with power. Their ceremonies blend dance, music, and precise movement, all deeply rooted in the rhythms of the Nile. Yet as seasons pass, both groups begin to see the beauty in each other's practices. Curiosity overcomes suspicion, and soon the Levites observe the Cushite processions, marveling at the intricate steps and the way voices rise in unison, filling the courtyards with reverence. In return, Cushite priests are drawn to the haunting melodies of the Levite prayers, the cadence of Hebrew poetry, and the solemnity of their festivals. The exchange begins quietly. A Levite musician, skilled with the kinnor, a kind of ancient lyre, invites a Cushite counterpart to listen as he tunes the strings, plucking out melodies that speak of exile and hope. The Cushite, with his own harp, demonstrates rhythms and scales unique to the South, patterns that mimic the flow of the river or the call of distant thunder. They find common ground in the language of music, where notes and harmonies transcend words and beliefs. Soon, instruments are traded and borrowed. The Levites learn to play the sistrum, a rattle sacred to the goddess Hathor, discovering its power to summon joy and ecstasy. The Cushite priests experiment with the shofar, the ram's horn, feeling its raw primeval sound reverberate through their temples. Together, they explore new combinations of timbres, blending the deep, resonant drums of Cush with the melodic flutes and stringed instruments of Israel. Music becomes a bridge, carrying ideas and emotions across the boundaries of language and culture. Joint performances emerge during harvest festivals and new moon celebrations. The Levites introduce psalms that speak of gratitude and deliverance. The Cushites answer with hymns to fertility and renewal. Sometimes, a single choir, composed of both Levite and Cushite voices, sings a song that merges Hebrew and Meroitic, Hebrew and Egyptian, weaving together themes of creation, justice, and the yearning for the divine. Rituals, too, are shaped by this contact. The Levites observe the Cushite practice of ritual purification using water drawn from the Nile, incorporating elements of it into their own mikveh rites. The Cushite priests, impressed by the Levites' emphasis on ethical justice and care for the poor, begin to include prayers for the oppressed in their own ceremonies. Both groups develop a heightened sense of the sacredness of time and space, marking the days with bells, incense, and the lighting of lamps at dusk. In the grand temples, the architecture itself begins to reflect mutual influence. The Levites, inspired by the soaring columns and intricate carvings of the Cushite sanctuaries, adapt some of these motifs for their own sanctuaries, perhaps in the decoration of the Ark of the Covenant or in the design of sacred vessels. Cushite priests, in turn, incorporate symbols of the menorah and the Hebrew alphabet into their own temple art, seeing in them new ways to express the ineffable. Outside the temples, the people take notice. Markets bustle with the sound of intermingled languages. Children learn songs that blend Hebrew words with Cushite melodies, and stories told at night around the fire recount heroes from both traditions. Marriages occur between the communities, further entwining bloodlines and beliefs. Over time, a new spiritual culture takes root, one that honors both the God of Israel and the gods of Cush, recognizing that the path to the divine can take many forms. The music that fills the temples each morning and evening is richer, more complex, and more moving than ever before. Rituals are layered with meaning, drawing on the wisdom of two ancient peoples who have learned not only to coexist, but to create together. This fusion is not without its challenges. There are moments of tension as elders on both sides worry about the dilution of their traditions. Some Levites fear that the adoption of Cushite practices might anger their God. Some Cushite priests are uneasy with the foreign prayers and symbols. Yet the younger generation, raised amid these shared spaces, insists that the blending of rituals and music does not weaken their faith, but strengthens it, revealing hidden harmonies and deeper truths. Together, Levites and Cushite priests forge a legacy that endures beyond their own time. The music they compose, preserved in oral tradition and later in written form, serves as a testament to the power of cultural exchange. Their rituals, once rigid and exclusive, become adaptable, open to the presence of the other. And their stories, passed down through the centuries, remind future generations that when people meet in reverence and curiosity, the sacred is made even more beautiful. Centuries later, scholars will uncover traces of this encounter, musical motifs that appear in both Hebrew and Nubian liturgies, architectural features that blend the aesthetics of Jerusalem and Meroe, and texts that speak of a time when Levite and Cushite sang together under the same sun. They will marvel at the resilience and creativity of these ancient peoples, whose willingness to listen and learn from one another enriched the spiritual tapestry of the world. Even today, in the echoes of ancient psalms and the resonant chords of temple music, the legacy of Levite and Cushite collaboration endures. Their story is a reminder that faith, at its best, is not a wall, but a bridge, a way to connect, to share, and to create together something greater than what any one tradition could achieve alone. As we listen to the music of the past, we are invited to imagine a future where such harmony is not the exception but the rule, a world where the voices of many become a single, soaring song. If this story moved you, share it with someone still wandering. Subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. And if you carry a legend, a memory, or a haunting, leave it below. Perhaps that your story will be the next ritual.